In this video, you'll see how to do the pattern making project for the week, cutting darts. You can either print the pages that I sent you, or you can cut out your own that are similar from whatever paper you have on hand. I recommend you start with these simple shapes. The darts are the V shapes that you remove from the paper, and your job is just to put the edges back together again to see how that affects the shape of the paper itself. I use blue painter's tape to stick the edges together because I can take it back off again, but you can use whatever tape you have on hand. Sorry the video jumps off the edge. I don't have anybody to point the camera for me. Different shaped darts go together differently, and I just want you to pay close attention to the shapes that you end up with. You'll find this handy with future projects. I just want you to cut all this stuff out, stick it together, and take a picture so you can show that you've done the project, and put the picture in the D2L assignments folder set up for the week. I often use a knife instead of scissors just because I have a knife and a cutting board because I'm an artist and it's faster. You don't actually have to be really precise when you do this. The idea is that you just figure it out and see what happens. So if you miss a little bit, it's okay. You'll see me put this pattern together a couple different ways. First, I'll make it into something that looks like an open basket. Then I'll fold the top over. And then I'll go back and make the crease lines and then stick it back together again. So you can see the way softness works on edges or hardness works. And you should try the same thing. This is just printer paper, and it's kind of flimsy and doesn't want to stay where I'd like it to go. Of course, the whole point of this for me is to make patterns to make things out of clay. When I first started making patterns, I probably would have had a square shape for the bottom and then 4 sides and then 4 triangles to make a top. And it took me a while to realize that it's best to leave the pattern in as few pieces as possible. And the same thing's true with the clay. I'll make a video later that shows assembling some things out of clay, so you can see that this pattern making exercise actually does go someplace. Once you've cut out all your shapes, just pile them up on the desk someplace and take a picture with your phone. I guess that's what I'm trying to show you here, is this is the stuff I've been working on. If you don't have a printer or a way to print out the patterns, that's totally okay. Just take a look at the PDF files and cut out something similar. I'm going to use some drawing paper that's a little heavier weight to make some darts here. So I'll cut a straight side one, and I'll cut a dart that has a curve to it and stick them together. And you'll get the same idea as if you copy the patterns that I make. I think it's a lot of fun to just freehand make shapes. And by investigating just the way shapes fold up, you might be able to come up with some interesting designs on your own without a whole bunch of drawing ahead of time. You'll be able to see here that the straight-sided dart makes a straight-edged seam, and the curved edge dart makes a curved seam. It's actually really simple. Here I'm just going to freehand a shape, and I'm going to knock the edges off just because that's one of the things I was thinking of when I drew the pattern. So this is similar to the pattern that I drew and sent out to you, but this is me just cutting with a pair of scissors. And I think you'll see the results are just as interesting. It looks like I can't decide how big of a dart to take out there, so I cut it a couple times. I'm actually going to put this pattern together two different ways. There's nothing that says that the edges have to join perfectly. So what I'll do first is put the edges right against each other and kind of catch the curve that shape of dart makes. And then I'll untape it and overlap the edges. Oftentimes when I make a pattern that doesn't work, I use it to figure out how to make the shape that I really do want. So your first crack at it doesn't have to be perfect. The idea is you're going to pay attention to what you're doing and then figure out how to get to where you want to go from there. I hope this helps. The idea here is that it'd be easier to do this in person, but we got to go with what we have here. So show me what you come up with.